So, Gav, when I told you this morning that Swansea was going to win and I told you to put that fiver down for me, you was actually laughing at me saying, no, I'm putting a fiver down on Bradford. Bradford are going to win. How do you feel?
Like I was going to put a fiver down on Bradford to win at 6-1. Great odds there. But, like you said,
you sounded like Tommy Smith on the ESPN press pass.
Like you said to me, the Premiership team's going to beat the smaller team.
No, I did say that to you. I said to you that I felt that Swansea just had too much Premier League quality. And I think that was going to be the decisive factor. And that's what it was. It was a matter of, all respect to Bradford. They came, they saw, and that was about it. They came when they saw. They didn't really get into the game. I think they only had, one shot on target the whole game. So in terms of them actually being in the game, it wasn't really there. Something ridiculous like 75 to 25% possession in favour of Swansea. So they were never really in the game. They never really got a foothold. And as soon as, that first goal went in from Nathan Dyer, it was really a matter of time, and it was a matter of how many will they actually get.
Yeah, which for me was a big disappointment, not just because Bradford lost, but that spectacle as a whole, it just wasn't the match I wanted it to be.
No, it wasn't. And I tell you what, before we actually met up today and before we decided we're actually going to sit down and start filming, I was thinking to myself that, I'm really worried that Bradford as a team and even as the fans, they're just happy enough to get to the game. They're happy enough to be at Wembley and, irrespective of the result, they're happy. And I think when a lot of teams end up doing that, it sets them up for a fall, and that's what happened here. Bradford really needed to come out hot out the blocks, attack Swansea, really try and win the game, and that didn't come to fruition at all. It was more or less, what you saw was the quality of Swansea. It was really the definition of a Premier League team taking on a League Two team, and you saw the gulf in quality, you saw the gulf in talent by comparison between the two teams. And Swansea just took over. I think it was really, after that first goal, it was a matter of how many goals can we score. And even when it was 4-0, Swansea was still looking to get that fifth goal, and they did get that fifth goal. But the real controversial talking point for me in this game, not so much the lack of effort from Bradford, because I think, I'll be honest, I'll say that they shot their bolt. They shot their bolt in getting to the final, but the talking point for me was Nathan Dyer. I think he should have taken that penalty. I think he should have been allowed to get that hat-trick, because when you think about him as a player, I mean, he's been a great player for Swansea, but realistically, when will be the next time that he'll score a hat-trick or have the chance to score a hat-trick? Yeah. In any game, much less a cup final. Yeah.
As the LJA said off-air, not many players do score hat-tricks in the cup finals. But, you know what? Same like you. I think the Guzman should have handed over the ball. Yeah. And he got his second goal as well. So.
Yeah. I mean, that was an even bigger kick in the teeth, because here's the other thing. For those of you that didn't catch the game, Nathan Dyer was actually substituted as well on 2 goals. So I think if he stayed on, that goal that the Guzman got to get his second, that would have been a Nathan Dyer goal. He would have got a hat-trick. He would have gone down in law. That's what he would have gone down for all time. It would have been remembered forever. But the thing that I will say is this, congratulations to Swansea. Congratulations to Michael Laudrup. He's done a fantastic effort this season with that Swansea squad that he's got. And, I think some of the chatter now that you're going to hear from a lot of neutrals and maybe even some Liverpool fans is, well, did Liverpool get the wrong guy?
Totally. That's LJ just showing us
off camera. He's letting us know how he feels. But I mean, it's a question to ask. I mean, when you see the impact that Michael Laudrup has had, he's gone to Swansea. He hasn't really changed too much. It was more just a tweak. He sprinkled in some real quality when you look at that Pablo Hernandez and of course Michu, who for me is the signing of the season. He's actually gone and really transformed that club, taking them to another level and taking them to a cup final. Whereas you look at Brendan Rodgers and what he's done at Liverpool, arguably you could say that he wasted around about 25 million. Yeah. And the rest of it, he's kind of done okay. But for the most part, I'd say you'd take Swansea's season over Liverpool's season. I think even amongst the fans, and I sometimes I really feel that the feeling amongst the fans in the stadium transfers to the players, and that in itself transfers to the pitch and what happens. The fans didn't really believe. I mean, a lot of fans were happy if they could have got out with a 2-1. They were happy to accept a loss. They knew that they were overmatched, knew they were going to be overpowered, knew they were going to be outplayed by Swansea, to be fair. And I think it was the same thing for the players. They knew they were overmatched, knew they were going to be outplayed. knew they were going to be outclassed and just accepted it.
No,
and, you know, like you were saying, as a spectacle, it really was disappointing because what I was hoping for was a real fight from Bradford, for them to show what they had shown in the earlier rounds. But I think the big thing to take away from this is, you know, for a League Two side, okay, they've done incredibly well to get to the final, and you have to give them their congratulations on that. And I think that they put in a lot of effort before the final, and maybe this was just a step too far. Swansea were motivated, highly motivated. They came out hot out the blocks, just like how I felt that Bradford should have come out. And they, you know, put them to the sword and continued to put them to the sword until it was no longer a contest. At half-time, effectively the game was over. And even after that, really, it was just a matter of how much further, how much worse does Swansea want to make this for Bradford?
No, I just want to add to that and about the spectacle aspect of it. To be honest, I agree with you about the fans transferring their energy over sometimes, but not in this case. I think it's a cup final. You know what? You've already beaten Wigan. You've already beaten Arsenal. You've beaten Aston Villa.
Yeah.
You can't. There's no excuses to say like we're playing a Premier League team in the final. So they should have gone all out. It doesn't matter. Guns blazing. It doesn't matter. And that's how.
What do you think went wrong exactly?
I just don't think they tried. I think they were too cautious. There's been cautious and then there's been overcautious.
And they were overcautious.
And when you leak that first goal, you know, that caution becomes even more because you know how well Swansea play, how well they keep the ball.
Yeah.
And then you leak that second goal with Michu scoring that second goal.
Yeah.
And we were talking about whether they're going to come out in the second half and, you know, attack them. And
it
they just didn't.
It didn't happen. And really and truly, it needed to be from the first whistle. You needed to have that harrying, that high line, that high pressure. It wasn't there. And I honestly, I feel like the players themselves, they were contented with the fact that they got to Wembley. But at the same time, you know, commiserations to the Bradford fans, commiserations to the Bradford players. But in this modern day era of football, where most cup finals are, you know, contested between two really big teams in the top league, you have to go and say that Bradford put in a hell of a performance to get there. And they've done themselves proud. Yes, they got beaten 5-0 today, but they've done themselves proud to get there. All of Bradford, I feel like all of Bradford actually descended on Wembley, and everybody here is very, very proud. Subdued, yes, but they're very proud still. And there's a lot of positives to take away from this. Because even if Bradford did win, you have to ask the question of how would they cope next season? Yeah. And that's another question to even go and ask Swansea fans. How will Swansea cope next season with the extra games? Yeah. You know, do Swansea have the squad? No. Do they have the money? No. So what are they actually going to do next season now with these extra games to just try and qualify to get into Europe? And then even with that, as you say, you've got the 2 domestic cups, you've got the league. They don't actually need any more distractions. Yeah. So as good as it is for Swansea, I think next season there's going to be a knock-on effect. It's going to be a matter of, can they repeat what they did this season in the transfer market? Can they go and unveil another Michu? Yeah. And to be honest with you, I think now with how the prices in football are going, I don't see them being able to do that again next season. And then it's how do they manage the squad with all of the games? Because it's a lot of games. It's going to be a long season. So, I mean, it's an achievement in itself that has to be celebrated. But at the same time, you have to worry about Swansea next season. Yeah.
And you know what? There's a lot I agree with you there, but we should get what the fans think, really, and see what if they agree or if they disagree with what we're saying.
Of course. Over to the fans. It's we the people, for the people.